And now, weighing in out of the blue corner, Josh the Punk Thompson. 100%. And on the other mic, he weighs in from the red corner, Big John McCarthy.
It is midweek, and we are back. Josh the Punk Thompson, who I just watched in your fight against Nate Diaz, and I will tell you, God damn, you look good. A lot of movement, man. I forgot that you were moving that much.
Damn. That's when I used to be lean and good, and now I'm fat and out of shape and cottage cheese on my butt.
Out of shape and ugly. Join the club, baby. Anyways, we are here for another edition of Weighing In, our midweek edition to talk about the fights that are coming up. You can check us out on YouTube, Google, Spotify, Stitcher, Apple, iTunes, and all those things. If you catch us on YouTube, give us the thumbs up. That will lead you and other people back to the greatest MMA podcast in the world today, weighing in with the man, Josh the Punk Thompson. What's up, dude?
And yourself. You got to end yourself, of course.
Yeah, but it don't matter.
It's kind of fun. It takes two to tango. Like this, like just by yourself, it's not always fun. This is fun.
No, it's not. Really... I don't know how they do it sometimes, because it sucks if you can bounce stuff off of guys. And when you're talking with you, I'll say something and you'll go, no way. Or you'll say something and I'll think, is he fucking high right now?
Sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes. But that's what makes it fun.
Yeah.
If you're being chill and you're talking to yourself, it gets boring. That's why he does little short clips.
Yeah.
Even Chael can only talk so much.
I don't know. I think he could. I think he can go for a couple. He can go for hours, man. He's fun though.
Go.
It's so fun though that he's not the person that people see. When you meet him, he's just an absolutely amazing guy. Yep. All right. Well, let's jump right into the UFC this week. We're not going to talk about all the fights, only because the card. It's probably one of those sneaky good cards, but a lot of the fights on there, I think because it is Thanksgiving weekend, people were like, I think they kind of just had guys that are on contract. They need to get the fight put together. So they did. But Curtis Blaydes fighting Derrick Lewis. John, I got to tell you, I don't see how Curtis Blaydes loses this fight unless he doesn't fight tomorrow.
Oh, I do.
Okay, let me hear. Let me hear it.
This is what people look at Derrick Lewis and they think he has no skill. They think he's just this big, strong dude.
I don't think that. I think he has skill.
Got good skill.
Yes, he
and
does.
They are absolutely right, is that he is a big, scary, strong dude that I will tell you, in the ground and pound area, hits as hard as anybody I've ever seen. Fedor Emelianenko was the guy that I always gave the credit to, hit so hard in someone's guard. Derrick Lewis is that guy that does the same thing. If he is on top of you and you are a heavyweight, you are in trouble. So I'm not saying that I don't think Curtis is the favorite. I agree with you. But if Curtis takes a bad step, goes for a takedown, a lateral drop, and doesn't hit that thing right, and Derrick Lewis ends up on top of him, Curtis is going to be in trouble because the man can crush you quick.
This is where I am at with this. I think Curtis Blaydes, he can, this is a 5-round fight. I think Curtis Blaydes just need to be very cautious and patient when he's on top, especially in the first 3 rounds. But we saw with the Volkov fight with Derrick Lewis, he's got power from the beginning to the end. And that was only a 3-round fight. But Curtis Blaydes needs to wrestle fuck him to death for a good 3 rounds. If he's able to do that.
Look at what happened. Same opponent. Blaydes fought Volkov.
Yeah.
And he got exhausted. Now, he exhausted Volkov too, because he was tired too. But Blaydes was exhausted, and instead of trying to finish the fight in the end, he was more on, I'm just going to ride this thing out, because he did work so hard.
Yeah, I understand that. I think that he's just, when he does get the takedown, he just needs to hang out on top. He just needs to be there. He just needs to be active. I doubt that the refs are going to be looking to stand them up too much, knowing it's a 5-round fight with heavyweights. You know what I mean? Like, let them get some work in there. Let them, do the best they can. I just think that Blaydes has the opportunity. I do think you're going to get tired. If you don't get a takedown or two, you're going to be exhausted. And mentally, that starts putting a ton of pressure on you. Like, shit, you know you can't stand with this dude. Like, you don't want to stand with this guy. I mean, don't get me wrong. Blaydes, he's got decent stand-up, but it's not like Derrick Lewis's power. That's the thing. Like, you've got to be a technician on the feet to avoid that type of power. Volkov to me is a good stand-up guy. And Derrick only needed to fight his chin once in the last 30 seconds of that fight, and it was over. And
Yeah, which he had lost completely.
And just to go back to what you just said, once he got on top of him, it was nasty. It was so disgusting what he did to him. I was like, oh man, he just violated you. Like he put it down on him, and you could just tell. And I like to go back to the Fedor stuff as well. But Fedor was 228 pounds, 235 pounds, somewhere in there. Derrick Lewis is not that. Derrick Lewis is a big, big boy. And
well, he is being smarter, I will give him, because he was coming in, he was dropping a lot of weight to get to the 265, and he'd walk back in eating, as he would say, eating ribs and chicken and 285.
Yeah.
He's big.
Yeah, but he's now started doing
getting better.
He's started getting a little bit better. Yep, he's getting a little better.
I like that.
He's focused a lot more on his conditioning. I get concerned though when athletes. Don't get me wrong. I'm happy that he's doing that. I wonder how much of the power he loses though because of that. A lot of the power and the weight behind it, they go together. They go together.
Absolutely.
You hear all the time about guys dropping weight and like the power didn't translate. But then when they stayed it with their natural weight class, it was there. I guess for me, like you look at DC had no pop at 205. Like couldn't crush a can. But then he got up to heavyweight and he had some power. I mean, he was hurting people in the gym. I was watching it, dropping people to the body, dropping people like left and right. Like he's putting some beatings on people. And I'm like, wow, where did this come from? He's just better at heavyweight.
LBs.
Yeah. The LBs puts a little bit more weight behind all your stuff, I guess. I mean, look, I think if Curtis Blaydes fights smart, he can make Derrick Lewis tired enough to where he can ink out the next two rounds, the fourth and the fifth. But he's got to fight smart. And I think there's a potential for submission there as well, because Derrick Lewis is not a ground expert by any means. So, but he does have explosive movements to get people off of him.
Lately, and this is lately, there's only been one guy that's been able to keep him down. That was Dan. Cormier kept him down. When he would take him down, he was able to keep him down. He was able to position his body and do the right things. And now Curtis is one of the better wrestlers in the heavyweight division. He's got good wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
And so he might be that guy that can also take him down and keep him down.
Yeah.
But, if you remember, Blagoy fought Derrick Lewis, and Blagoy had some problems with him. It was a close fight. It was back and forth, but it was the power of Derrick Lewis. Yeah. And every time Derrick's fighting, he's getting better, because his fight against Alexei Olenek, that was a good fight, man. Yeah. He looked good.
He did.
And he survived the submission attempts. He's getting better. He's learning, and he is now not just thinking he's going to go in there and run people over with his strength and power. He's actually saying, hey, I want to be the guy. I want to be someone that is not worried about being in those positions and can get out of them. And so I think Curtis is fighting right now the best version of Derrick Lewis that we've seen.
Yeah, I think for a main event, it's going to be a good fight. I mean, Derrick wasn't happy with his last main event, correct? As I was watching something on him, he wasn't too happy with his last performance as a main event. And, I mean, whatever, though. Like, hey, this is your chance to make it up. I mean, for me, look, ever since the balls is hot thing, that was the greatest thing ever.
Why'd you take your shorts off? My balls was hot.
Balls was hot. I love it, dude.
The greatest line ever in an interview.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh, that's awesome.
But yeah, anyways, I'm a big fan of him. I enjoy watching him fight. And I like when guys, no matter what, at the end of the fight are still dangerous. Some guys, they just slow down so much. They have no power and pop, and he still has it. He still has got that crunch. Ask Volkov. I mean, he just, like I said, he just violated him. Anthony Smith coming off of a couple little things where he's only won one in his last 4 fights.
One out of his last 4.
Yeah, I think 1 out of his last 4. He just, it's hard. I mean, he needs to make some adjustments. I don't know what it is. I believe didn't he go back to where his family lives, and he's like training there now as well, or he's around his family a little bit more often?
Well, he lives in Nebraska. Okay. He was traveling to Colorado.
Okay. Now
his training.
But his camp didn't do that last fight, correct? Or his last 2 camps?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know. Maybe he needs to go back to Colorado or whatever and get some work in there, because the last couple of fights, it's been like the wind. He's knocked the wind, like the wind just hasn't been there. And if you're training in Colorado, Odds are
you
should be there. The win should be there. And his losses have been because he got tired. His output. Here's the thing. When guys are used to being in good shape, they go out there thinking they can keep fighting at that same pace they're used to fighting at. And then they realize that they can't fight at that pace, because they just haven't done, if you're used to training at elevation, you just haven't put the work in those areas to make it happen. So, there's a lot of things that I could talk about. Look, is he good? Yes, he's good. Is he talented? I think he's got all the talent. He's got a ton of talent. He just needs to find ways to tweak a little tweak here and there and continue to fight if that's what he wants to do. But I can't tell. I've seen guys that have spent more time, and it's weird to say this, guys that have spent more time with their families during camp. It's not always the best. Like, that's why guys go away for camp. They go, and it sucks and it's painful, and you miss out on a ton of shit. But you got to be away from it, I think. You need to focus. And, Trevor Prangle lived with me for years. I would say probably out of the 20 years of me fighting, he probably lived with me for about 10 or 11 of those years, back and forth from his family and stuff. And
his family.
Yeah. And I saw the best out of him when he came down and trained with us at AKA, and he was there and he's away from his family for sometimes he would try to just make it a month. But when he did it a 6 and 8 week is when he had his best performances. When he only made it a month, it meant that he never came in shape. He was never really ready to spar 3 hard rounds. You're sparring with guys up there that, buck hay all day.
Don't push you.
Yeah, don't push you. And you're the big man on this whole big fish, small pond kind of thing. And that's kind of where we're at on that. And so I maybe that might be some of the issue as well. I'd love to see that he's a family guy. I love to see that. When I saw the last, little 24/7 for him, I was like, this is so cool, man. It made me become more of a fan of him. But the performances aren't there. So something needs to happen, a tweak here and there, but he's still good. He's still talented. He still has a lot to offer, I think.
It comes back to, you've said multiple times, first off, winning solves everything. So if he's winning, it doesn't matter where he's working out. But if you're not, you're going to have to think about it. Second off, fighting is a very selfish enterprise.
Yep.
It has to be. And you do see both men and women that are fighting then all of a sudden, they're single, it's all about them. Then they meet someone and then they get married and things start to change a little bit. Then they bring kids into it. It can change a lot, and it's the matter of, I would rather be there than where I'm at. So that's what starts to change them. But where being there means that they don't have the same people to go against, people that are pushing them, people that are causing them to have to elevate their game and get better. What they're doing, where they're at now near home is enough, but it's not enough to get them better. And if you're not getting better, you're going backwards.
Well, it's not enough to get you better because he's at the top. He's in that top 10.
Well, he isn't now.
He's probably still in the top 10.
He gets a loss on this one, and he's fighting a tough dude.
Yeah.
Devin Clark is a gamer, and he proved that in his last fight against Menefield, where a lot of people thought he was going to get run over.
Yeah.
And I said, this guy is tough, and he will bang with Menefield, and if he can get Menefield tired, he's going to do well.
Yeah.
What did he do? He got Menefield a little bit tired. Menefield slowed down, and it's the same game plan for him. So he's been there, done that. He knows what he needs to do. Anthony is that guy. He starts fast. If he can get into you and hurt you, normally he gets that win. But then he gets guys like, his fight against Glover. He was hurting Glover in the stand-up.
Oh, yeah.
He was putting it on him.
That first round and a half was all him.
Oh, yeah. But he, when he couldn't put him away and he put out all of that energy trying, then it got bad because he never got that second win. He stayed tough in the fight, but he never got that second win to get him kind of back going again. And that was because of the pressure that Glover was putting on him, being on top of him.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Who else on this card, John?
Oh, man. There's a couple of them that I really like in this thing. I think, I don't know, a lot of people don't know Josh Frisian, who is big for a heavyweight, and he's good. He's tough. He's got heavy hands, top game. He's got a couple submissions in his record, but he's fighting, I think Porter. He's fighting Porter, who is a good solid heavyweight. He's actually got a pretty good ground game, good submissions. He loves the Kimura or the Americana. He's always on top, and if he gets that, he's going to either try to crank your arm one way or the other. I don't know if he's going to be able to get Josh down. I don't know if that's going to, in the stand-up, he's going to have some problems with Josh, and so probably a good fight for Josh. Not the best fight for Porter, but Porter can get him. It's, like anything.
Anytime two big guys collide, man, get them out of there by a round and a half, because otherwise they're just laying on each other against the fence.
It's a lot of weight to move in. The fight that I really do like, though, is Bill Algin, who you remember, against Spike Carlisle.
Yes.
First off, I like Spike Carlisle. He's fun to watch, and he's a crazy redhead. Mm-hmm. So you know what that means. He's got farmer strength, and he's crazy. But if you remember who Bill Algin is, remember the last fight when Ricardo Lamas had that first round that Bill had? Yeah. He was putting it on Lamas.
That's right.
He's good.
That's right. I'm glad I have you here to remind me of these type of things, because I have CTE like a SOB. It's one of those things that I was like, oh, and then as soon as I saw Ricardo Lamas, I was like, oh my God, is that fight where? And then you said it right after that. Yeah, he started off great. And then Lamas just started putting it together, and it came down to the third round, because Lamas picked him up in the second, and then it came down to the third, and we had Ricardo on right after that fight.
Yeah, and Lamas showed what a veteran fighter does in a hard fight against someone who's coming out and getting the best of them. And you got to turn that corner on him. You got to make him fight a different style. You got to make him fight the way you want it to be, and that's what Lamas did, showing that he's a veteran and stuff. But Carlisle had a tough fight against Billy Quarantillo. I don't know how they want to say it, but it was a great fight, man. Carlisle was going after him. Billy hung tough, which he always does. He always seems to lose the first. He's the Benson Henderson now of losing that first round. Yeah. And then being able to come on in the second and third and just fought his ass off. But Carlisle was fun to watch. So I think that's going to be a great matchup. I think that starts the main card. So that's going to be a really fun fight. That should get this thing going.
That was kind of the story of my career when I started fighting like the better guys, is I never won the first round. I feel like I was always around behind. Going to the second, like, you better get this shit together, buddy. Anyway, it was funny. All right. Look, there's a lot of news that we want to talk about as well outside of the rest of the card. I'm going to give a little shout out to Rachel Ostovich, because I know a bunch of you guys are probably waiting for that. So just wanted to say hi. Yo, Rachel, what's up? Anyways, but that was funny. She came to one of our last Bellator fights in Hawaii, our last one actually. And I had a chance to meet her. I'd never met her before, so seemed like a sweet girl.
That's a good fight for her. She's fighting Gina Mazzani. That's a good fight for her.
Good.
That's the one she matches up very well.
Okay, so pull up what you got for us. Gion's here today. I want to give him a hand for coming back after the way I treated him last week. Okay, everyone knows that they were like commenting in the YouTube section. It was, what was that saying from Braveheart, where you shoot thunderbolts from your eyes? Well, he said ass, but I was thinking from my eyes, because people were like, man, Josh's about to fucking lose it. And I was about to lose it. Oh, man. But we worked it out. You know what? That's the great thing about Gian, and even with Podcast Dave, because he has his issues too from the beginning, is that even though I like to get on you guys, I know I'm glad we can talk about it. I can sort you guys out really well, and you guys come around.
Josh meant well.
Yes, I did. See, you hear what he said? He's like, Josh meant well. So, yes. That's his politically correct answer right there.
It's all about the application.
All right, so let's get into some of this talk.
Dan Hooker calling out Gaethje.
Yeah, so Dan Hooker wants to fight Gaethje, John. But guess who else wants to fight Gaethje? Michael Chandler. And both of them want to fight Gaethje because he just fought for the title against Khabib. But they both want to fight him for one reason, specifically because he's coming off of a loss. And it's the best time to beat somebody, again, is when they're coming off of a loss, because their confidence isn't what it used to be when he was getting into that title shot. So it's so funny how none of these dudes be calling out each other off of wins, unless they're like ranked number 15 or something.
Had the incredible performance. No, I don't think I want that guy.
Yeah, right. It's just after he beat Tony, everyone's like, yeah, man, I won't fight Justin, man. Hell no. So, and then nobody wanted to fight Tony either for the longest time.
It's true.
It really comes down to, look, Hooker came out and said, like, the mystique of Michael Chandler's gone, done. And here's the I don't like to side with Michael Chandler because I mean, I just don't. Even before when he was with Bellator, I'm not. We have our ups and downs. But to be honest, he's got one shot at this, John, and he needs to make it look good. So he needs to make sure he chooses whoever he fights carefully. Because
okay, let me ask you a question.
Yes.
Just before you go on with it. So if you're Michael Chandler,
Yep.
and you have a choice of fighting Dan Hooker, who's a great fighter, or Justin Gaethje, who's a great fighter, which one's going to make you look better?
Gaethje.
There you go. So
Yeah.
you cannot complain about what he's doing.
No, I'm not complaining about what he's doing. I am going to complain a little bit about his whole sissing out of the weight cut, though. Like, I mean,
well, you don't even have to say anything about that because Figueiredo just put a big old kibosh on that whole thing with, I don't want to lose weight. 21 days later, and that guy loses absolutely percentage-wise, probably more than Chandler. So
look, Chandler's a good fighter, and I think he's going to make some waves in that division. But he has one chance to make first impression on UFC fans. Okay, and he's got to make it stick. And the guy I think that will probably bring the best out of him, if you go back and watch the Eddie Alvarez fight and Justin Gaethje, as well as the Eddie Alvarez fights with Michael Chandler, they were all phenomenal fights. That is the fight. If I was the UFC, that would be the fight that I would try to make. Because realistically, right, if you're going to have somebody else fight for a vacant title after the Dustin Poirier and Conor fight, let's say that it's Michael Chandler and Justin Gaethje that fight, not for the vacant title, but just fight. The winner of that will fight whoever probably wins Notorious and Dustin Poirier for the vacant title.
Well, I don't know. Hold on. You're talking about that because Khabib still has the title, and we talked about, they should probably make that one for the title, being Poirier against McGregor. And then Dana came out and said, Khabib's not going anywhere, so no, that is not for the title. And then Khabib said, see you in the future.
See you soon. Yeah.
And then it was, I'm not fighting.
Yeah, I don't think he is fighting. I think he is fighting, but I don't think that he's fighting I think he's going to fight GSP. That's the only option.
Right now, Khabib is doing beautifully.
Mm-hmm.
He's fantastic because he doesn't care if he comes back. He holds all the fucking cards, man. Yeah. And it's like he's playing with them.
Yeah. No, and that's good. He's gonna. I think he should just keep tagging Dana along. Like, no. Until here's the other thing. The rest of the division is a mess right now. You've got Chandler who needs a fight. Tony Ferguson, who's lost after 13 or 14 in record or whatever. He's 14.
He's got a tough fight against
Oliveira. Which I think he walks through him.
I do too.
Okay, so I get a little concerned with the submission part of it, like jumping to a submission or something along like that. But if he gets stuck on bottom, Tony's gonna just jack him up, from the top. And then on the feet, I think just the power, the strength, and the size, the overall size of him over Oliveira is big.
If you watch Oliveira fight, he fights very well from distance.
Yeah,
he doesn't fight well when that distance gets into tight quarters, where Tony fights very well.
Yes, he does.
And so, it's all about wwho's going to dictate where that fight takes place.
Well, I look at it too, and who has the bigger body frame?
No doubt.
Tony does, and it's just, and look, and I've said this multiple times on this show, Tony Ferguson is not a strong person, but Oliveira is not a big person. And Tony Ferguson, when he wraps his hands around Oliveira's wrist, he could probably wrap his hand around his bicep too, if he wanted to. He's got enormous hands, and that wrist control is there. That he's good at those type of things. And Oliveira's not a big guy. And so I think that the first round will probably be a little, it'll be kind of close, but I'm going to give it to Tony. And then I think after that, Tony's going to start to run away with it, that fight. So that fight, but then you've got Michael Chandler and possibly Gaethje. And if I was the UFC, I would be thinking 100% that's the fight to make, because when they brought in Justin Gaethje for his first fight, they put him against Michael Johnson.
Yep.
Which to me was perfect. It was a perfect style match. Smart on their part.
Both guys actually came from a wrestling background, and both guys don't like to wrestle, and they like to stand up and throw.
Yep. And I got to tell you, it ended up being one of the best fights I'd seen. The way Gaethje got rocked a couple times, and just it was a great fight.
He never got rocked.
Yeah, that's what he said. That's what he said.
That's what he told me.
I was like, oh man, bro, go back and watch the fight.
It was awesome.
Maybe unless you're coming up with a new chicken dance. That was the best thing. But But then they moved him into right after that was what? Eddie or Dustin? I think
No, that was no. He won his second one, and then he lost he lost to Dustin, and he lost to.
he won. Did he win his second one?
Yeah,
No,
I believe he won his second.
No, he lost.
It might have been
No. I want to see Justin Gaethje.
because he had the two losses. He had the loss to Dustin, and then to Eddie, and then he beat James Vick. I want to say
He lost. Yeah, so he won. He beat Michael Johnson, then had 2 losses in a row, and then he beat James Vick with that nasty knockout.
yeah.
Remember, he had him doing the dirty bird out the cage. Yeah, his arms like flung up over his head, and he went sideways. Yeah, that was nasty. Anyways, Justin Gaethje. I think Justin Gaethje, and given Chandler's experience with the Eddie Alvarez fights, that it's a perfect matchup. You're looking for fireworks. If you're gonna have a main event,
fireworks.
that's the fight. Dan Hooker, I'm sorry, buddy, but you're kind of left in the cold. Right now, you're kind of the guy on the outside looking in, and I like watching Dan Hooker fight. I'm a huge fan. I didn't become a fan. I started kind of watching him. I didn't become a fan until after the Paul Felder fight. Don't get me wrong. I liked him as a fighter, and I thought he was a good fighter. I didn't become a fan until I saw him fight Dustin Poirier. I liked the fight with Paul Felder, but to me, Paul Felder,
was good.
That was a great fight. Great fight. But I feel like that fight would have been different had Paul Felder's eye not swelled up in the first round or between the first round. It would have been a different fight. I think Paul Felder would have been a different fight. The outcome would have been different. It was still a close fight. Paul Felder was coming on, as he made the adjustmts with the eye throughout the fight. That guy's a tough son of a bitch too. So he's another guy. And you have Dos Anjos in there now. Where do you put him? So I think he's ranked number 6. He's up there with Hooker. Maybe you have Dos Anjos and Hooker fight. That would be for a fun.
That's about what I'm.
That's about where you're at, huh?
Well, you look at it and you go, okay, well, who does he fight that's going to keep him elevated? If he wins, he's got to fight somebody there. Well, Felder just got knocked down in the rankings by RDA, but it could be that could be a big fight between Hooker and RDA.
So you have Gaethje number 1, Dustin Poirier number 2, Tony Ferguson number 3. They don't even have Chandler in there yet because he hasn't fought, which is fair.
He hasn't fought. I don't blame.
That's fair. And then you got Conor McGregor number 4, which I think Conor beats Tony. I think Conor beats Dustin, and I think Conor beats Gaethje. So you kind of, I know not a lot of people like to hear that. Okay, but I'm excited to see the new Dustin Poirier at 155 against Conor McGregor. That's going to be, to me, it's going to be a good fight. But here's the thing: is that Dustin cannot afford to take as many shots as he did against Dan Hooker. If he takes those type of shots from Conor, it's gonna be lights out. It's not gonna be walking through that shit. And so Felder and Dos Anjos are there. You already have Oliveira fighting in there, and you've got the mix. I love that. I love that Gaethje fight with Chandler. And I wonder if, Khabib just hanging out. He's just probably going to tag him along. I think they're going to start putting somebody up there. You're going to have Islam's going to have to come back. They're saying January 23rd is Islam is going to probably fight. January or maybe in February sometime. He's got to get one in before Ramadan, which Ramadan I think is like.
Who's it going to be against?
I don't know. They're going to have to give him someone up there.
Dan Hooker.
Oh, that would be a good fight.
That would be a good fight.
That's the one that I wanted a couple months back.
Hooker's got actually good wrestling defense.
Yeah.
You take a look at the guys that he's beaten and everything, I don't know. I think that'd be a fun fight. Look at Dan Hooker beat Gilbert Burns.
Yeah.
Did he not?
Yeah.
All right.
But Burns better at 70.
I agree.
Burns better at 70.
Burns gonna have a hard time making 70 the way he looked.
He's a fuck. He's this man.
He's a stump.
I was supposed to fight that guy, and then I got hurt in training. And I'm like, and every day I thank my lucky stars I didn't have to fight him. He was so big. He was so big. Jesus, I see him like, God, what'd you do? Eat your twin brother in the womb? Like, what the fuck? Oh man. Anyways, there's a lot of ways that we can break this down, but I really believe, go back to the rankings, please. I really believe that you put Gaethje and Chandler. You got
Where do they have Gaethje now?
They have Gaethje number 1.
They have Gaethje at number 1?
Yeah, Khabib's
How in
Chan.
the hell do you
Gaethje.
have Gaethje at number 1?
I guess because he beat Dustin and he beat Tony. Oh, no, he didn't beat Dustin. He lost to Dustin. Sorry, my apologies. Yeah, I would put Dustin up there at number 1 and move Justin down to number 2. But regardless, it doesn't change how you want to do the matchmaking for me. You have Chandler and Gaethje because it's going to be a fucking great fight for 5 rounds, until someone gets knocked out. You have Dustin Poirier and Connor's already made January 23rd. And then Yaz Island, I believe. And you have Tony Ferguson against Oliveira, which is great. You got Dan Hooker, who can fight Islam, or he can. I think you're going to put Dos Anjos and Islam back together again. They're going to try to make that fight happen. He ain't taking Islam down. And
No.
and I saw he slowed down a little bit. He's not the same fast guy. Felder looked fucking fast as hell until he got tired. Felder looked really fast in that fight until
It was a smart fight by RDA that, he used his stand up, but he used it to always close the distance.
yeah.
And every time they got into a clinch situation, he was taking over the fight.
Yep, very true.
And that's tough. If you're Felder coming in on 6 days and you haven't been grappling and you haven't been doing the things that get you up a little bit more in that wrestling defense and that ability to turn things around, that's a rough one. But
I mean, I could see them going Dan Hooker and Dos Anjos and then having Islam fight. He won't fight Dariush because Dariush is, I think, managed by Ali. So Kevin Lee, maybe that might be a fight. That's not a good fight for Kevin Lee.
Kevin's out with a knee injury.
Knee still, huh? So
he had his second one because he had one and then did the other one.
So you have Diego Ferreira, and you got Paul Felder. I would hate to
And
see
besides, Kevin Lee's talking about the holes he sees in AJ McKee, so he doesn't want to fight anybody.
I think he's ready. I think he's ready to jump ship, is what I think. I think he hangs out at Bellator with his brother, and he's like, "Gosh, man, I wish I was here." It's like, oh man.
I was like, Kevin, what are you doing?
No, I know.
Why are you talking about something you're never gonna fight?
Yeah, you're never gonna fight him. Yeah, just stay where you're at, buddy. I mean, look, none of those fights interest me. The Kevin Lee kind of does. That one does. I would love to see the Dariush one is the one that interests me the most for Islam. That's the only one that interests me the most at that top there. I don't want to see him fight Ali Quinta. I don't want to see him fight Diego Ferreira. Paul Felder, I just feel like you can't do that to him after you just gave him another loss because he took the fight on a week's notice. Do the guy a solid, man. Give him somebody with a full camp, somebody that's kind of tailor-made for him to beat.
You could put Paul Felder against Beneil Dariush. That would be a good fight.
That's a tough fight for him.
Oh, well, Beneil's is better on the ground, no doubt.
Yeah.
But he's not real fast. And as fast as I saw Paul Felder in that fight with RDA, I wouldn't want to be in the stand-up. And I think Dariush's last fight was against Scott Holtzman.
Yeah, it was.
He looked good.
Yes, he did.
He freaking made Scott he was a second and a half behind him the entire fight.
Well,
he was landing everything he threw.
But this is the way I look at it, John, is that they're going to have to do Paul Felder a solid for saving that card.
Okay, so who do you give him?
I say you wait till the dust settles after all those guys fight in January, February, and you give him a winner of one of those guys. That's
doing him a solid?
Yes, I do, because that puts him back up there in the top rankings. I mean, he's dropped 3 spots since his last 2 fights.
Yeah, but that's only because they're both. I mean, look, I look at, yes, he lost RDA. He didn't lose.
Yeah.
He fought his ass off. Time ran out. It is what it is. And you're right. He did them a solid in taking that fight, keeping that main event solid. So I don't know. I do think I like Hooker against Islam. That's a good fight.
Yeah, it is. It is. I like the Hooker fight more than Dos Anjos fight.
On the feet, Hooker beats him, dude. If Islam can't get him down, Hooker beats him.
And Islam takes him down.
Islam gets him down, Islam beats him.
Islam takes him down at will.
He
won't even have to break a sweat.
Look at you now.
I know.
Look at you homer.
I know. I knew you were waiting. I was waiting for you to say that. Yeah, there's a lot of things. But I'd like to see Paul Felder and Oliveira. If Oliveira loses to Tony Ferguson, have him fight Oliveira. That's a good fight for him. I think stylistically. Because Oliveira's not going to be able to take him down. He may jump to something. I don't think he's going to be able to take him down. He'll stand with him too, try to fight him at distance. And Paul Felder's a better boxer in that close range.
Paul's stand-up he's
good.
It's tight.
It is.
That's what I love about it.
Yeah.
He throws everything with bad intentions, but it's clean the way he throws it. He doesn't overextend. He kicks like a freaking mule.
Yeah.
I mean, I love everything there is about Paul Felder. I'll watch Paul Felder anytime. He is just a gamer. Doesn't mean he's going to win.
Mhm.
Anybody can lose, but man, he will come and he will give you everything that you have asked for.
What do you take from the Khabib thing? See you soon, Dana. I take nothing.
I'm not, when you say, what do I take from it? I think that Khabib is being smart.
Yes.
And I think he's holding cards in his hands and saying, and I'll tease you a little bit. It's almost like catching the big fish, man. If you're out at sea, sometimes you got to give it line. You can't just crank that thing all the way to the boat and try to gaff it. Usually that's going to cause you a problem. There's going to be something that breaks and the fish is going to get free. And I think he's keeping Dana in that position where Dana feels like, hey, I can get another fight for him. And whatever it is that Dana has offered him, which, I have no idea, you have no idea, but it's something that at least you would say it intrigues him, because if not, he would have just said, I'm out. Goodbye.
You know what I don't get, though, is like they're willing to do all this stuff for Khabib, right? Like Khabib can tow him along. Okay.
Yeah.
Why are they not doing this for Henry Cejudo? Henry wants that Volk fight, man. Get that fight signed.
Okay. Here's the difference. Take a look at when Conor McGregor fought Khabib. Take a look at the numbers.
Yeah.
Okay. Now hold on. And then this is where it comes down to that, the UFC and Dana are looking at it going, that's Conor. And then when Khabib fought Dustin Poirier, he was at the same numbers. So you can sit there and say what you want about it.
Was it that high?
It was high.
Wow.
It was high. And so you can sit there and say what you want about it being Conor. No, he just proved he's one of those guys. People now, especially worldwide, they are interested.
No, they
want to watch. And he's got now, even though it's a different it factor.
Yes.
Conor's got that it factor, right? And Henry, I love, but the triple C is cringeworthy.
Yeah.
As far as, and it sticks with some people and it turns some people off. There's nothing about Khabib that anybody is turned off by. You may want him to lose because you want to see someone beat him.
Yeah.
Or you may want to see him win because you want him to extend his streak. But there's nothing that you can say, I don't like that about that guy.
Yeah.
He does everything right. And now he's in that position where he's got that it factor where people want to watch him. So Khabib, if he fights near the UFC, he's going to bring you 2 million pay-per-views. Henry Cejudo is going to bring you 400,000.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
No, I understand. I just, man, like to be able to have somebody that can do that 3 weight classes.
No, I agree. I think it's a good matchup between him and Volkanovski.
Oh, it's a phenomenal matchup. And
first off, he's got a freaking training partner. That is perfect.
Yeah.
To mimic Volkanovski.
Exactly.
So he would be ready.
No, he would be. I think that's why he kind of is making a push. He understands that Patricio is just as good as Volkanovski, if not better. And he's also got Patricky Pitbull as well, if you want to use him, who's a little bit bigger. So I think stylistically, he's got a guy that's fast, does a lot of things that Volkanovski does, and he does them better. And there's some things that Volkanovski does better than Patricio, but when it comes down to it, that's your training partner. It mimics almost exactly how Volk fights. So
I think Volkanovski is maybe 2 inches taller, maybe an inch taller than Patricio.
Yeah, Patricio's not a big guy.
Well, either is Volkanovski as far as height wise. He's
5'6",
strong, stout. Who's 5'6"?
Volkanovski.
Yeah, see, 1 inch taller. Yeah. And because I think Patricio's 5'5".
Oh, gotcha.
And I figure Henry's got to be
5'4".
Yeah, bullshit.
Yeah, bullshit.
But okay, and so when you're looking at training partner wise, he not only mimics the size, he not only mimics the strength, he not only mimics where he's good at, and how he controls a fight, which Volkanovski is really good at doing now. There's a lot of things that are going to make it to where that's a good fight for Henry Cejudo and for one for him to get ready for. And his wrestling, no matter what people want to say about Volkanovski can wrestle.
Yes.
He can't fucking hold a candle to fucking Henry Cejudo.
Yeah.
Not in the wrestling game.
No, I know.
Yeah.
It makes for a fun fight. I think it really gets interesting. I'm surprised the UFC is not jumping on that at least. I mean, because like right now it's a little stagnant. Everybody still likes Max, and if if Henry does win, you could potentially see a Max and Henry fight that would kind of put Max back in that championship fight. I don't know. I mean,
But you got Brian Ortega too.
yeah, you got Brian as well.
And he
But
looked freaking awesome in his last fight.
That's true. Brian and Volk will probably fight next. I mean, I know that they have stuff there that they can do, but to have a guy that can come up after 2 divisions and he's also Olympic wrestler champ, like, how do you not market that? Like, I mean, they would know better than I would because they're marketing genius. I'm believing it or not, as much as I like to rag on the UFC, they're marketing geniuses, man. They do a phenomenal job of marketing their fighters, and not just their fighters, but mainly their promotion and Dana. That's what they do a great job of. They don't. They don't always market their fighters the best.
Oh no! But they market themselves.
They market their promotion
unbelievably because there's only, you can go back, in time, back when we used to make a copy, what was it called? Xerox.
Oh yeah,
Xerox was the first copy machine.
Yeah.
So if they say, hey, can you make a Xerox of that? They don't say copy, they say Xerox.
Yeah.
And the same thing with, hey, I have this cut on my hand. Give me a Band-Aid.
Yep.
That's where the UFC put themselves in the vernacular of the public. They are MMA. They did an incredible job of marketing people to think that is, when you're talking about that element of sport, MMA, you're talking about the UFC.
What they did very well, and I don't know if they ever planned to do it this way, but they went to Spike. Spike was the first one to really let them on their TV, right? But
they paid for it.
Yeah, they paid. But then it became a relationship that grew, and then they wanted to get paid, and they wanted money from them, and they
got paid,
and they got money, and then it grew to be a little bit more, and they wanted more money, which is what they should have done. But then they found themselves, they went to Fox, and after Fox, now they're at ESPN. What they've done now is they've bounced around from network to network, and they've actually brought in those networks' fans that never had heard about them before. And so I don't know if in theory, I don't think they really meant to do it, that like bounce from network to network, but that helped them, I think, a ton because they got onto Fox. Like when it was the NFC Championship game to see who was going to go into the Super Bowl. And Benson Henderson and I were fighting in Chicago like in 2 weeks. And that was all over the fucking game. Everywhere on Fox. It was like Josh Thompson, Benson Henderson, Josh Thompson. It was like,
dude, and your head was going.
Oh no, it swelled so big. It swelled so big. I mean, I remember sitting in my buddy's sushi spot here in San Jose, called Blush here in San Jose. It was so nice little outdoor seating area, and they had big old TVs out, and then I'm sitting there eating sushi, with some friends and family on Sunday afternoon, and it was crazy, man. Crazy. People are like, oh my God, it's you. And I'm like, you know what I mean? Like, that's how they've marketed this. And they left them. And now you go to ESPN, where anybody that wants to watch any sports, especially in this year, it's just plastered with UFC stuff. No one's talking about basketball. No one's talking about baseball. They don't give a shit about that right now. They don't care about football now has also become a little more like they're talking about fighting. And I think that's a little bit of why Bellator is getting a little bit more recognition, as well as the fact that they are putting on better fights. The matchmaking has gotten a lot better. The silver lining in this whole thing of COVID is that we didn't have to worry about ticket sales. Now we don't have to worry about having ticket sales in these new cities that we're going to. We're at one venue, and we're putting on the best fights. And it's shown the level of talent that we have has risen to the occasion. And I enjoy watching the fights, man. Like our guys they're coming out to fight now, which is nice. If you watch that Stotts and Keith Lee fight, that was awesome. Great fight. Yep. And then the Logan Storley and Amosov fight, great fight. I can't take anything away from, the other guys that fought, but it's like those two fights are the ones that stuck out the most in my mind at the time. Emmanuel Sanchez and Daniel Weichel got dropped in the got dropped in the second, and then stuck it out, finished the fight. Good fights, man. Just good fights. Anyways, I just think with going back to the UFC, their marketing, they do a phenomenal job at marketing their promotion, like you said, the brand, and marketing Dana White, because those are two things that are never going to leave them. The name UFC, and Dana White may leave eventually, but he'll be old and crusty. Okay, and when he does leave, he ain't leaving anytime soon. People keep saying that, like, who's going to replace him?
No, he's not.
No one's.
He loves it.
That dude is not leaving. Stop, people. Stop. So like, who's going to replace him?
You talk about people, and I used to say this all the time especially with people that got up into upper levels of like the police departments and things like that, became commanders or deputy chiefs or anything like that. And everyone said, man, these guys seem to hang around for this, because if they leave, all that power is gone and they're nobody. No one cares about them.
Yeah.
And that's really, and I hate, but it's true.
Same for atheletes. As soon as you're done, the crowd's gone. Man. No
People
one cares.
Forget about you and it's gone. And so they don't want to lose that. But there's things that the UFC has done. And look, they've taken risk, but they've always been real smart risks, because, when they did the whole thing with Spike, and people don't remember, Lorenzo Fertitta, he was $44 million in the hole and paid out an additional $10 million to not only film the first Ultimate Fighter, but to pay for the time that it was put onto Spike TV. So that, that relationship started with Lorenzo paying to put his show onto TV. Then it became, they had a relationship, and Spike paid them well, and it kept growing and growing, but it got to a point where they looked and basically felt, because Spike wanted to keep them and was going to pay close, the numbers were very close with Fox, but what was the thing that was going to get them to the next level?
Fox.
It was Fox.
Yeah.
And so they went with Fox actually for a little bit less money. People don't think that, but that was a little bit less money in the start, but then it grew to being more money. And then you look, and then they had a good relationship with Fox, and Fox took care of them. They took care of Fox. They were always saying how great they were to work with, but eventually it came down to, all right, we've got this opportunity. Because if you remember when IMG-WME bought the UFC, as soon as that contract was coming due, as far as the TV rights, they said, yeah, we're looking for $400 million. They were getting about $120 million.
Mm-hmm. We
want 400. I want basically close to 4 times what we were making. And in the end, when they went to ESPN, it wasn't that first number of that 400, but it eventually became even more when ESPN then buys the rights to the pay-per-views, automatically pays them for a specific number. I'm not going to get into the numbers, but specific number you get. No, if you get 200,000, doesn't matter. You still get this. If you get over this number, then we'll give you half and we'll keep half. It's a beautiful deal that they did, and taking that leap from Fox, where they were comfortable, into the ESPN. Look, you go to, I don't care where it is, you go to Chili's, Wild Wings, any of those. What's up on the screen?
ESPN.
The bars. And you see it all the time. And it's just pumping their show, making them bigger. They made really good choices.
Yeah, it really just came down to, like I said, they moved their brand around and just acquired.
They were not those people that just said, "Oh, I'm going to hold on to my kingdom.
No.
I am going to expand my kingdom. I believe if I go here, that's going to make me grow." And they've been right.
Yeah, I guess in that type of field, right, loyalty means nothing. Like, it really comes down, like, no, you need to do what's best for the money and the promotion.
They're all about being loyal until it's, we got to go this.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like,
that's business.
That's business, though. Like, hey, this company, maybe they're offering a little bit less, but they're putting me in, they're broadcasting me out on bigger platforms. That's going to help my company grow. It's going to generate more money coming in. Then they left there. When they left Fox, I looked at it in terms of like, look, your ultimate goal should have always been to get to ESPN. But the way that they did it was perfect, because had they went from Spike to ESPN, less people would have cared about them.
Right.
They went from there to Fox. Fox helped them grow even bigger. They're, like I said, they were having their advertisements on Fox, on the AFC Championship games and all this other, on these major football games, major basketball playoffs, all that stuff. They're out there marketing that way. Then they move into ESPN. Everyone's like, damn, they're fucking at ESPN. Huge. And they're getting tons of play. That's the biggest thing right there, man. The way they did it, and I don't even, like I said, I don't even know if they meant to do it that way, but it was brilliant. It was perfect for it was perfect for them and their sport and the company itself. I thought it was a good job. All right, look, next question. We've talked about Khabib. We talked about we blew off about the UFC and their branding and stuff like that.
Joaquin Buckley calling out James Krause without actually saying his name, but he said,
I love that.
They don't like each other. It's been pretty vocal. They don't like each other, though.
Yeah, but first off, I love Joaquin. He's a great guy. He's fighting well. But did you see James Krause's tweet back? Because I love James. He's phenomenal.
No, I didn't see it.
He goes, "Say my name." It was just great, man. Come on.
I'm surprised he didn't add the bitch in there. Say my
Like,
name, bitch.
That's perfect. Just
That's
say my name.
great, man. You know, right, that when they did that interview, when Rogan was doing that interview, he's like, I'm not gonna say his name, and Joe goes, well, who is it? He's like, I'm not gonna say his name. You know, someone said something in Joe's ear, James Krause.
Oh yeah,
because you know Joe didn't know who he was
didn't know
talking about. I've been in, John, you and I have been, we've been doing the commentary for a while, and I've done some interviews, and I swear to you, had I not had someone in my ear telling me that person's name as I was stumbling across trying to figure out what their name was, man, lifesavers. But those people in your ear can also mess you up when you're trying to say your closing statements and they're counting you down 10, 9, 8, and you're like, no. I listen to some of the stuff that Goldie has to go through, and I'm like, man, I'd be yelling into the mic, shut up. I'm hearing voices. I'm hearing voices. I mean, what do you think of that fight?
I think that's actually a good fight.
It's a little much, I think, for him right now, Buckley.
Well, I think size-wise,
yeah,
it's a problem for James, and I know James will fight anyone, and he's gone up to 185 and fought. James is a 155er. 170 is a good weight class because he's not cutting a lot, much weight. You're getting into 185. He's having a hard time making that weight with with drinking anything he wants before stepping on the scale. And Buckley is big and strong, and
he's not a big 85-pounder though either.
Strong,
yes,
super strong, and his stand-up is good. James's stand-up is technically really good, and James's ground has gotten very good. No doubt in my mind, it's better than Buckley's.
Yeah,
so on the ground he has an advantage, but the strength is going to be a problem for him. The strength is there, and no matter what anyone wants to say, strength is a technique. As long as you use it right, it's a technique.
Yeah. Huh. I guess. I mean, I would love to see the fight. I mean, where do they fight at? 85?
I would say they have to go to 170.
Yeah, I was gonna say, does Buckley make 70?
Yeah, he's made it before.
Yeah, and I thought
he lost there.
He lost to Logan Storley.
Yep, at 170.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's a big cut though. I mean, he's not a big guy, but he's got a lot of muscle. He's packing a lot of muscle. Yeah. I mean, look, dude, you're having a lot of success at 85. Ride that bitch until the wheels fall off. Don't go chasing some grudge match, because what happens also too is there's a lot of motion and stuff that gets built up into that fight, and you don't fight.
And then no one wants to lose, and so they don't fight smart. They don't fight well.
They don't. Yeah, it ends up being a snooze fest, or someone goes out there trying to do too much and they gas out and you lose. Don't do that shit. Do what you're doing right now. Whatever you're doing right now is working. Just keep doing that, because you can't let all that hate and that energy go into something. It's not worth it. I like you at 85. You're doing well at 85. You're explosive at 85. You obviously got the power at 85. Just keep doing what you're doing. And if the wheels fall off, then hey, James, come on, get it. Come get it, Poppy.
Well, the other part is, you can look and say whatever you want. You know what it's like when you fight a guy who's a wily veteran, smart at what he does. He makes the fight a whole lot harder than you ever thought it was going to be.
This is true.
James Krause is that guy.
No, it's true. Yeah. I mean, I fought guys that I didn't think were going to be any good. But they had a lot of like smaller fights, a lot of experience. I was like, man, you were a way harder fight than I thought you were going to be. Bobby Green being one of them. I mean, Bobby Green was talented. I was like, man, but I'm way better than this guy. He ain't gonna do anything to me. Like, he did some things to me in there that I was like, oh wow, those are like veteran moves. You know what I mean? And there's other guys too that I had fought as well. Like Nam Pham was one of them as well. I mean, like he was good, but he wasn't a big guy. But he fought like very, very smart in the way he approached fighting me. So there was a lot of guys that I fought when I was younger that I was like, I'm gonna walk right through these guys. But they came out there and they had fought so many times already that they had a lot of experience in different situations that I wasn't prepared for. I still won those fights. Well, not the Bobby fight, but I still won some of those fights. It was like, that was at a time of just, you've got to be careful who you're fighting in there, because they always will bring something that you're not prepared for. I think that Buckley needs to leave the negative energy at home. Keep doing what you're doing, bro. Stay focused, eye on the prize, 85. That's really what it comes down to.
Whatever happened in the past doesn't matter. It's all about it's all about the future. You've got a good team. They like you. you're training well. Just continue on.
Yeah.
March forward.
What's another thing?
Connor and Dustin officially booked for 257.
Yeah, we talked about that already. I mean, I'm not going to talk much about it. We'll move on to that. We're going to cover that in so much in the next month and a half. In detail. There's going to be a lot of shit that comes out between now and then as well. All right, let's go to fan questions, man. We got a little bit of time for fan questions.
All right. So Cosmic Dawn asked, how does 155 division play out in 2021? We'd love to hear Josh and John's prediction.
We just did it all right now.
I think we did.
We just did that. So if you were listening to the show earlier, if you didn't listen to the show earlier, you just scrub through it, go back and listen to the beginning because that's exactly what we talked about is that whole 155-pound division.
All right. Ethan asked, John, do you ever wish that one of the fights you reffed, you were a spectator instead of a referee?
Never.
You have a better seat than everybody else. Why would you?
The reason he's saying it is this: is you do not see the same fight as you will see sitting on the outside because you can't enjoy it the same way. You're looking for things. You're moving yourself into certain positions. So I totally understand what he's saying, but I could always go back afterwards and watch it again. So I absolutely loved being in there because it's your competition. You know, the fighters are competing against each other. You're competing against yourself in trying to be as perfect as you can be for that fight. And so I love that and would never have given up one of them, but because I can always go back and watch it, which I did quite frequently.
So I'm assuming this next question is for Josh. The guy says, if you were to be cornered for a fight by one active UFC fighter, who would you choose?
If I was to be cornered by a fight, by a fighter?
By a fighter.
The active fighter right now.
Oh, active fighter right now?
Active. I like that.
Ooh,
I got an
active.
answer.
Man.
Come on, baby.
Let me see. I mean, realistically, man, I mean, like, the Russians they all corner themselves. Probably one of the guys, Islam or Khabib, because they corner themselves all the time. They know what the hell they're looking for. And I used to corner them as well especially Khabib when he was coming up. So I would probably say someone like Khabib. I mean, is he really still active though? That's the question. I mean, outside of that,
James Krause, guy we were just talking about. He's an outstanding coach.
all right.
Outstanding. He's still fighting and he corners a ton of guys and he's very good. Good information, calm, knows when to be, straight, knows when to be a cheerleader and getting the guy's face. Just does a great job.
Maybe, you know what? My other pick would maybe be like either Frankie Edgar or GSP. Because Frankie knows the game. Like, he knows the game. I've been around him enough to, and we trained together for a couple of years. He knows the game. I would probably say Frankie or GSP. I don't even know if I could understand what GSP the hell he was saying. But,
Here, I'll give you I am not impressed with your performance, John.
And I'd be like, what the fuck? I just knocked him out in 20 seconds. Well, he knows that's a lie because I ain't knocked nobody out.
I am not impressed.
Oh, man. Next one.
All right. This next question is from Tamer Assad. Big John, what is the ref supposed to do if he asks the fighter, are you ready? And the fighter says no.
I've seen that happen a couple times.
Oh, I've seen it happen too. You go normally as the referee, you're going to go in and, as the fighters are getting introduced and everything, you're going and, talking to them and stuff and making sure that they're set to go. But I mean, if the guy says, no, I'm not ready. Good. What's your problem? And it better be a good problem right now or the fight's getting started.
Wow. It's got to be your mouthpiece or your cup or something, right?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah.
Unless you got I guess maybe if you got like Vaseline in your eye or.
Well, there has been instances where referees have got two guys in there and all of a sudden one guy says, no, goes like this and I don't want to fight. And I've seen the referee start the fight and it's like, no, you don't do that. But the guy's going to lose. He's going to lose, by forfeit, but you can't start the fight. You can't make somebody fight. No one has to fight. If they decide I want out and it's been, it's been announced and everything's done and everyone gets out and now he decides I don't want to fight. No problem. You forfeit. I think I've always wanted to ask you this.
The Tim Kennedy and Yoel Romero fight. Should that fight have been stopped?
No.
What happened on the stool? Wasn't that the Yoel Romero didn't want to get up off the stool?
Yeah, that's not the truth of what happened.
Okay. That's what I see. I wanted to go straight to the ref.
What happened in that scenario, and it's unfair to either when you're looking at the fighters. You're listening to Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan doesn't know what's going on. He's making up his own interpretation of what's going on. He's got a perception. And his perception is that Yoel Romero doesn't want to get off of the stool. And he's buying time. That's not what happened. What happened was, if you go back and you watch the fight, end of the round, Yoel has got a big cut, about 2.5-inch cut over his eye that Tim opened up. I go and bring in the ringside physician. I tell him, I want you to check him because Yoel got rocked. Just check him. You don't have to talk to him. Let me know what you think about it. Go over and talk to Tim's corner real quick, because Tim was like, is the fight over? And it's like, it's not over. It's the end of the round, because I stopped it when the bell rang. And then go back, and the doctor says he's fine. Yeah, he's good to go. No problems at all. He's going out. Well, the cut man was, and this is where, as everything in the fight makes a difference. And some of the things that happen in the fight have nothing to do with the actual fight. When you have a good cut man, you have guys, like Teddy is a guy, good cut man.
Ted Lucio, by the way, Ted Lucio.
Yeah, Ted Lucio. Stitch, great cut man. Guys like Matt Masden, Dean Lassiter, great. Sid, great. All these guys are so good at what they do that when there's a cut, you don't really have to worry about it. They know how to take care of it. They know what they're doing, and they know what they can get away with as far as putting Vaseline, and the Vaseline's going to have some what we call adrenaline 1001 in it to help cauterize the actual cut and stop the bleeding. Well, what happened was, we had a young cut person who was in there, and he put a giant swath of Vaseline and then smeared it with it going all the way back to his ear. So when I see it, I tell the inspector at the time, hey, get the cut man, get that off of him. Because I don't want to touch the cut, because if I wipe it and I open the cut, now I've created a problem for the fighter. So the inspector tells Yoel to stay on the stool. And that's where the whole problem comes. He goes to get the cut man. The cut man is not there. He has walked off to go get a supply. He's not there. He brings in the corner person. Tim Kennedy's coming over. I'm walking Tim back, and it becomes this where normally the round goes about, when the TV will hold up.
Yes, it will.
The actual round from starting.
Yeah.
Normally the rounds go about 113 to 115 is the actual, from the time that bell rang till we start the fight. It's somewhere in that area on TV. This one went to 128. So, you got to figure there's an added, 13, 14 seconds in there.
A lot.
Yeah, it is. And so was Tim cheated in a way? Yeah, because he had hurt him and this is extra time. But it wasn't that he was doing it himself. It was, we had this problem with the cut man. And so finally I push his corner man out. I tell him, get up off the stool. He gets up off the stool because I have to get it going.
Yeah. And
then he ends up winning, and it becomes this big thing because Joe Rogan was saying it was unfair. But it would have been unfair to penalize Yoel in that realm, because it wasn't Yoel's fault. It was the UFC brings that cut man. Yeah. They assign that cut man to Yoel. It wasn't his corner that caused the problem. It was the person working for the promotion that did.
Yeah, I just realized you just got to have better control of your cage when you're in there, Rick.
You look at this and could I have handled it better? Absolutely. Now that I've gone back, and I always look at it, and this is where I tell, referees all the time, hey, don't sit there and say, well, I didn't do it. It wasn't my, it is your problem. And so how do I make it better if that ever happens again? Because it would have been unfair for me to penalize Yoel, but it was also unfair for what was happening for Tim.
You could look at it in different ways, though. He had a big glob of Vaseline that slid all the way back to the side of his head. If Tim had went for a submission and it slipped off, it could be that as well.
Absolutely.
Like, hey, look at all that fucking Vaseline. I couldn't get.
You let it stay on there. That's the whole, sometimes you know what, you can't win
You can't
Either
win.
way.
You can't win.
So it's just what it is.
It's going to be what it is. I agree with you.
It
All right.
could have been that he got hit with a shot and that big old wob went flying into the audience, and it never would have been a problem.
That's very true as well.
You never know.
All right, next one.
Our next one is from Christian Salgado. He asks, do you see Figueiredo going up to become a double champ? And if so, how does he match up against Yan and Sterling?
I do see him potentially going up. I just don't know if they're going to allow him to go up. That division is one of those things where
they want him.
I don't think they want him.
They need him.
They need him to be, yeah, they need him to be at 125. They're going to keep that weight class around. Look, you have to remember that if they get rid of that weight class, it almost feels like a failure to them.
Yeah.
The way that they are, the way that they carry themselves, the promotion itself, the UFC, the brand, this and that, it would be like a promotion. It would be like a failure to them for the promotion.
Yeah, we couldn't make this work.
We couldn't make the 125-pound guys work. And there's a ton of talent out there at 125, but the problem is they're not in the UFC. A lot of them are overseas in one, just to be honest.
Yep.
And the ones, yeah.
Are you kidding? Some of the guys in one at 125,
yeah,
they're studs.
They are studs. They're phenomenal. They could probably be champ in the UFC also. But I think at 135, sure. I don't think they're gonna let him go though. Like, hey, let's get this thing established. Let's get you 5 or 6 big wins, finishes hopefully, and then we'll start talking about maybe going up. But 5 or 6 wins, that's 2.5, 3 years. That's plenty of time to try and do something with you. And right now, he looks
also
like
time to build more of the people underneath him.
That's true. And like right now, he looks like a fucking savage. Like, and he's gonna fight again in what, 20 days?
But if he was gonna fight Peter Yan, I'm telling you right now, Peter Yan's gonna beat him.
Yeah, I think so too.
Sorry.
Yeah, I think so as well. I mean, when he fought, who did he just fight this last weekend? Lopez? No,
Perez.
Perez. Sorry, Lopez. Perez. He just fought Perez. Dude, Perez has some nasty hard kicks. And watch those first couple exchanges. Perez was winning the shots. He was winning I know it was a short fight. I get it. It was a short fight.
He was landing. He
was landing, and he was landing with power. Now that power tends to fade as the fight goes on. I understand that too. But they're still heavy. Not at 120. The fight goes on. It tends to not have as much behind it. But bottom line is, if you put him against Peter Yan right now, if you were to say somebody else in there, I mean, he's going to have a hard time with Corey Sandhagen. He's fucking 5'10", 5'11", and good on the feet, good on the ground. I mean, like,
Sandhagen is a killer.
You have Marlon Moraes. I mean, he's just a monster as well. I mean, he's huge for the weight as it is. I don't really know. Like, why don't we just get him situated at 125 and we'll talk about 135, 5 or 6 big wins. That's kind of where I'm at, John. What do you think?
I agree totally with you. I think let's leave Devison where he's at right now.
Yeah.
He's got plenty of guys to fight against. There's other guys that they can actually bring in. And the problem is how much time it takes them to get to that point where they can actually market that person. But right now, he needs to stay exactly where he's at. I love the fact that he's coming back real fast.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of, says something, because, Brandon Moreno is going to be a fun fight for us to watch because he's a gamer. He's definitely the underdog in that fight. So, the whole thing, I love what Figueiredo is doing. He had those 2 wins against Benavidez. The first one he didn't make weight, so he didn't get the championship, but he's on a tear.
John, let's have this conversation real quick. Instead of Henry Cejudo and Volkanovski, if Figueiredo gets like 2 or 3 more finishes, let's go, Henry. Let's go.
Exactly. Step back.
Yeah, that's your weight. That's your weight. Like, I'll come back anytime.
Henry hates that weight. Yeah, 125, he always had a hard time making it.
Here's the thing. He had a hard time maybe making it, but you got to remember, against guys like Peter Yan and Sterling and those guys, I mean, like, he was the smaller guy against Marlon Moraes.
Oh, yeah.
And you put him against Yan and Sterling and Corey. Corey's tall, long, lanky. I mean, like, those are, I don't want to say harder fights than the Marlon Moraes fight, but they're big guys. They're physically very big guys. And to think you were to go to fight Volk, like Corey Sandhagen, Marlon Moraes, those guys aren't much smaller than Volkanovski. Like, that's a fight that I could see him being fine with because they're probably walk around. Henry's probably only a couple of pounds lighter than him, height-wise and all that other shit. But Figueiredo, though, and him makes for a fun fight if you want to get back down there and take that title back to show, like, hey, I'm dominant. But do you really want to go back down there and then you got to defend it? And is the UFC going to let you do it and stay there? I think here's the thing with Henry. If he was to fight Volkanovski, I think he would end up he'd be okay with fighting somebody else like a Zabit or a Max. I don't know if he'd want to fight Brian, but I mean, like somewhere in there, you know what I mean? Like he'd probably want to fight those guys. He'd probably get one fight and he could probably walk away and retire. He's defended all of his titles, you know, and that's the one thing I appreciate about with him is that he won it at featherweight. Featherweight? Is it featherweight?
No.
Yeah, no, not featherweight. Sorry, he the little small weight class. He won that flyweight. There you go.
Bantamweight.
I was like, I knew it started with an F.
Featherweight.
I knew it started with an F. So he won there. He defended it, and then he won at bantamweight. Defended it. I mean, now he wants to go to 145. I think he'd defend it at least to show that it was one of those things. You got to defend it once to show you're the champion.
Yeah, but I don't think the UFC, like going back, if he wanted to come back and fight against Devison, they would do it, but they would almost demand that he has to fight again.
Yeah.
It's got to be part of the whole thing because they do not want him to come in, beat their champion, and then walk away.
Yeah, they don't want a GSP.
Yeah.
Like,
they learned a big lesson off of the GSP Bisping.
yeah, that was smart on GSP's part, though.
Hell yes, it was so smart.
Yeah, that was smart on his part.
He hasn't done a whole lot of dumb things.
No, he's
in the world of MMA.
He's a smart guy. He's got a good team behind him. Whoever he has working with him, I know his team's changed here and there throughout the years, but he's got someone that I think a lot of it has to do with him though. He makes good decisions for himself, and that's one thing I've always respected.
He doesn't have a huge ego.
No, and he never stops training. There's never a day where he's like, oh, you know what? Today I'm not going to do that. See, that's the problem with a lot of fighters. That was the problem with me. It's like there was times where I literally was like, man, 2 months? Nah, I'm not going to do shit.
I am done.
Yeah, I'm done running. I'm done doing all this. Okay, what was the next question?
Mitch Kupchak asked, who wins, Gerard
Mitch
Musashi?
Kupchak, he was a general manager for the LA Lakers.
No, Kupchak.
Yeah, it's Kupchak.
No, I don't know.
He says, who wins, Gerard Musashi or Izzy Adesanya?
Gegard Mousasi.
Gegard Mousasi?
Gegard.
Or Gegard, no,
Yeah, it's okay.
Go, baby.
Or who?
Go, baby.
or
Izzy.
Adesanya.
Man, I don't know. Gegard, he's so well rounded. And he's
Gegard has a huge advantage if he gets that fight to the ground.
Yeah.
Huge advantage.
But can he?
That's the whole question.
But here's the thing: I can't say that he can't stand with him. We can't stand with him for the whole round. But he's got to make him think about that takedown.
He can stand with him for a whole round.
He could. You know what I mean?
Look, he came from a kickboxing background. He's fought professional kickboxing. I don't think he can stand with him for the whole fight.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, but one round, yeah, he could. But you know, as I look at it now, you know, things are changing and levels are changing and directions are going to
age is changing.
Exactly.
That's the
my
other
whole
thing.
point. And you know, Gegard is at that point where things are going to start to slow down.
Oh yeah.
So when would that fight take place? That would be instrumental in it because Izzy's getting better.
Yeah.
You know, in MMA, he's getting better and he's young. For a guy that's got all those kickboxing fights, he's still young.
He's good.
You know? Oh, dude,
he's good.
He's phenomenal. He's scary good.
I would probably lean. I mean, no
I
slide
would
at
lean
my
towards
boy.
Izzy.
Yeah, I would lean towards Izzy as well.
I love Gegard, and
it's the age thing to me. Like Gegard has moments. I think he'd rise to the occasion for that fight. He could stand with him. He could mix it up and get the takedown. But we've seen him on the ground with jiu-jitsu guys. Rafael Lovato Jr. He survived all that, and he came on top, and then he did some damage in the third and the fourth round. Took it over that fight. Lost the fifth, but you know, I look at that type of stuff. If he can get Izzy down, I think he dominates the fight. I think he makes Izzy a different fighter. That's the thing.
That's the whole thing. Look, if he got him down in the first round, the fight's going to be almost over because he's going to do damage.
Yeah.
You know, Izzy is not the guy that is going to be able to fight off his back and be dangerous to Gegard. Gegard knows that, and Gegard's going to open up in getting after him. And you look, you say, okay, how much damage can he do to him in that, you know, amount of time that he has him on the ground, be it, you know, 4 minutes, 3.5, 3, 2.5, whatever it is. How much damage can he do to him? Because he's got to do enough damage where now Izzy, when he gets back, you know, to his corner, gets his 1 minute rest and now comes out, is not the fighter he was when he walked into that cage.
Definitely.
And look, Gegard can do that. He's got that ability, and his ground, I honestly don't think that if Gegard was on top of Izzy's going to survive the round from a submission. Submission wise, he's good. You know, there's nobody that Izzy has fought that's put him in the position of danger on the ground that you would see from Gegard.
Yeah.
Not many people have put Izzy on the ground. Let's just be honest. So
yeah, that's true. That's true. That's very true. Next question.
Our next question is from Arsalan Ahmed. He asks, do you think weight cutting in fighting should be stopped? It just seems like it's become a game of how much weight can I cut down so I can be bigger than my opponent on the night as opposed to skill.
John, the question is this, though. How do you stop it? That's not like, here's the thing. We can say, hey, you guys can't weight cut. How do you stop it? Like if I give you a hydration test, those things can be cheated. I mean, sure, they're going to be a little bit harder to cheat. I think if you have someone watching your dick while you pee, but it's like it's really what it comes down to. Cause we've heard of guys that have used the Wizinator, you know, the fake penis, you know, to try to take drug tests. But how do you stop weight cutting? Weight cutting is one of those things that they feel better when they weight cut. Some people do, and some people perform better when they don't weight cut. And we've seen guys that perform better when they don't weight cut. So, I mean, fighters are kind of just doing it to themselves. I think it's more of the wrestlers that have a mental breakthrough, like I do, is that I feel like, okay, that's my last little bit that I need to do before I feel like I'm officially ready for this fight. But that's all stuff that's been just ingrained in me over years from wrestling for a wrestling match and for getting ready for a fight. And I think a lot of wrestlers will have problems with that coming into their fights. But other fighters that came from kickboxing backgrounds or anything, they don't, you know, not a lot of them cut weight. Boxing guys, they don't really cut weight. So they would probably be just as good with or without the weight cut. Probably better.
They do now.
Yeah.
Even boxers. Their weight cutting has become an epidemic in combat sports. And if you're going to be honest and say, you know, is weight cutting something that I would like to get rid of? Absolutely. Mm-hmm. It's just because it's healthier for the athletes by far. There's nothing that anyone can sit there and say weight cutting is good for you because of this. Yeah. It's not. It's horrible for you. You know, like you're saying, many fighters, and especially guys that came from a wrestling background, they look at it as an advantage that they have over their opponent. That I have mentally done this so many times that I know exactly where I'm at, and I'm going to get to a point where I am going to be this big on the night of the fight. You have to suffer more to get to that weight limit that you have to make. And that's going to make you less tomorrow night when I have to face you. And it's a legal, you know, tool that some guys look at as far as it's an advantage to me. Yeah. And I don't blame them for that, but it's I look at it, it's like PEDs. You know, you can sit there and say you're going to get rid of it. You can't, there's no way that you're ever going to get rid of them. It's not going to happen. No. You know, it's almost like you're better off saying, just do what you're going to do, you know, but that's not healthy and it's not wise. And
because there's going to be a lot of guys that don't want to use them because later on in life, they want to be able to function.
Yeah. Well, I agree with you. And so you're forcing guys that wouldn't do it to try to compensate for what's happening and an advantage someone's getting on them. So I do think that there's ways that you could get about doing the actual hydration and making it so guys don't cut near as much weight. They're always going to cut. Yeah. But not cutting near as much weight, it would be healthier for them. And I think those things should be brought into play.
Yeah. I think for MMA, I think you have weight classes every 10 pounds until you get to 185. That's it. I think that's one of the first ways to do it for the lower guys. To
170, 155 to 170.
Yeah, I mean, you really would only be adding that one weight class, 65, 75. That'd be it. Yeah. Because then it goes 75, 85, and then you wouldn't go 95 because there's just not enough talent at that level. You know, between 95 and 205, you'd be cannibalizing the rest of the weight classes from 85 to 205.
Well, the weight classes are already there.
Yeah, they're
all part of the rules, but it's what a promotion wants to use.
Yeah, I got you. I understand what you're saying. Okay, one more. We'll do one last question.
Speaking of weight classes, David asked, why is the heavyweight belt gets defended once per year?
You have to ask your champion that. That's what you have to ask. It really comes down to that. It does. It comes down to the champions. They need to be willing and ready to fight at all times. And they aren't. If you look at when Kane was fighting, Kane was a little bit more active of a fighter. I mean, he was plagued with a lot of injuries, but when he was the champion, he wanted to fight as much as he could because he knew the championship money was the most. But here's the other thing. Fighters, when they become champion, they want to enjoy the moment. And they kind of get away from all the things that got them to be champion. And they want to go out and they want to go do the NASCAR thing. They want to go do the basketball thing. They want to throw the first pitch of the baseball.
I want to be the judge at the Hawaiian's Tropic Bikini Contest.
There you go.
I don't blame him for that.
Well, Izzy Adesanya, he's one of the commentators for Roy Jones and
Mike Tyson.
So it's like
their sparring match.
Those are great things. I get it. Those are great things. But it's like it's not just that. There's plenty of other things that they just allow themselves to get distracted with. And they're like, hey, they call, hey, do you want to fight? Oh, well, I need more time because, I haven't been really training. Like, you know what I mean? Like things start to get in the way when you're the champion. And when you have a champion like that, as a promotion, you need to be thinking, okay, how can I get you beat? I'm just saying on a business aspect of it all, how can I get you beat? Because if you're only going to fight once a year, I can't market you. I can't bring in more. I can't sell you for more pay-per-views. Whatever your pay-per-view dollars are, you've got to be able to cover those. And if you're not covering it, then what am I doing having you as my champion? My goal is to get you beat. So if you're fighting 2-3 times a year and fans are starting to like you and starting to follow you, okay, then we can start seeing some numbers go up and I can justify paying you the $2 and $3 a pay-per-view buy. Right now, if your champion is not doing that, promotions are thinking, how can I get you to lose? Just my 2 cents.
No, it's true. But, one of the things when you look at heavyweights, many times the heavyweights are taking more damage.
Yeah.
Look, just what happens. They're able to absorb more because of more body mass, but those collisions, they tend to crash the car a whole lot quicker and destroy the car. And a lot of them, because of the big clashes, they end up getting hurt and they're always working through injuries. And so it's not that, it's better athletes at the smaller weight classes, faster. They get hit, but they don't get hit near as much in certain ways. So there's a whole lot of elements that go to it. But.
Well, in the process of all this, though, there's one guy, Francis Ngannou, who's sitting around wasting around his product. He's complaining about it right now. He's been complaining. I
don't blame him.
I don't blame him either. Nobody else. He can't.
He suffered no damage other than his fight with Stipe because he gets rid of everyone in 25 seconds. It's like,
But here's the thing: Stipe needs to be fighting. He needs to get this fight going. I mean, when did DC fight him? They fought in June, right? June or July?
I think I want to say it was
like here we are.
July.
We're gonna be pushing January. They're already booked out by January. Why are you not fighting? Like I said, as a promotion. And then here's the thing. And I got into Stipe a little bit from the past, but you wonder why they never did you any favors for booking you with the DC thing and taking, and they took their time. They took their time because now you're not fighting again for another 9 months. I mean, then you're gonna need a camp. And then it's like, okay, like I like him as a fighter. I think he's good. I think he's really good.
Don't mess with my Stipe.
I know, but it's just here's the thing. He whined and cried a lot about, when DC was holding out for the Brock Lesnar fight and blah blah blah. And then then when he became champion and beat DC, then he held out for my eye for the longest time. I get it. Okay, if your eye was really hurt, cool. And I believe it probably was. Okay, but then you get into this. Now it's been almost 8 months or whatever, 6 months, 7 months. When are you gonna get into another camp? Let's get this fight. And Ngannou's like, I haven't even got a contract. Hasn't been like presented to me like, hey, this date. That means that they're already booking fights. Who got booked for February? You just said someone got booked for February or April. Come on, use that.
Is it Buckley?
Yeah. Anyways, Buckley or someone else got put. Anyways, some of these fights are getting booked already for February and March and April. Like, where are you at in that mix there?
Stipe and Dan was in mid-August.
Pull up that fight. It was right there. August 15th. Okay, so
August.
So September, October, November, December. So only 4 months. Sorry, my bad. Yeah. Then I just went on a tangent for no reason. Sorry, guys.
I was kind of like, I think it was faster than that.
So 4 months.
Seems like it's a while ago, but there's just been so many fights. That's why.
Okay, but let's be real. Both those guys didn't have a great performance. I thought Stipe looked actually pretty good. It was a good fight.
I was gonna say Stipe actually
he looked pretty good. It wasn't there wasn't a lot of like, I guess, I don't know. I didn't see a lot of them, either one of them taking a whole lot of damage in that fight. 4 months, you take a month off. You're training for 3. You're back to training for 3 months. I mean, you're the champion. This is when this is when you got to soak in as much money as you possibly can.
True.
That's the thing. Like you're getting paid
that's
championship dollars.
And you're getting, this is your time to freaking get your money and get out.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
I don't know. Stipe, I like you, man. I like you a lot, but you gotta fight more, man. You gotta fight more. Anyways. All right, well, hey, you know what? Let's wrap this bad boy up, okay?
Yeah.
I think your wife's texting me. Get off the damn phone. All right, guys. Hey, there's a couple things. Go to mybookie.ag or mybookie.com. Use the promo code weighing in, and they will give you 50% on your first initial deposit. So if you deposit $500, they will give you $250. You deposit $1,000, they'll give you $500. Okay, it only goes up to $1,000. So your biggest deposit that they will match you with is $500. So they give 50% of what you initially deposit. Go to mybookie.ag, promo code weighing in. Also, go to YouTube, hit the thumbs up. That shares our videos. Not only does it share our videos, what it does, it also gets rid of Ariel Helwani and DC and John Anik and Kenny Florian. It gets rid of them in the comment and the sections off to the right. And it starts putting our stuff in there as well. No, I love those guys. All right. I love all of them. Good people. I just want to let you guys know the thumbs up, even if you give us a thumbs down, which I prefer you don't do, but that still also recommends our video to other people as well. So do us that huge solid, and I appreciate it, as well as go to all the audio platforms and hit the subscribe button there. You can listen to us in your car. I know a lot of people like to watch us because I give a lot of funky facial expressions, especially towards John. And a lot of you pointed them out when I had against Gian on Saturday.
Come on, man.
You guys could tell. So go to the audio platform as well. You can listen to us in your car when you're in traffic, or if you guys are traveling for the holidays coming up, you're traveling from store to store to try and buy Christmas gifts, whatever it is, go ahead and give us a listen in the car as well. So also, we are now active on YouTube. We're already at 2,000 subscribers on on Twitter. Go to our Twitter page. It's @weighing-in. Go to our Twitter page, hit the follow button, and we appreciate you guys, and start following us, start sharing our Twitter as well. So we're active on there. We've already got about 2,000, I think, that are on there. And I want to thank you guys all for the support, as well as happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Okay. Enjoy your time with your family, and lock your doors. If you guys bought a big turkey, make sure you guys lock your doors. Have cameras out front. Don't let the cops knock on the door. Look, I'm poking fun because I'm in California, so I got Newsom looking through my windows. But I want you guys all to please enjoy. Don't drink and drive. Be safe. And John, what's the one last thing you have to say?
First thing I want to say is happy Thanksgiving to everyone. I hope you all have a great day. I hope you spend it with family. I don't give a shit what governors say. They're a bunch of idiots because they don't live by their own words. So, in the end, have a great day, and we will see you.